Here are the notes on law of cosines, which you also use for non-right triangles when you're solving for a missing side or a missing angle. Here you're going to use it when you have side angle side or side side side. So to give you a quick review on what side angle side looks like. So if you have a triangle and you have a side, an included angle, and another given side. So that's side angle side. And then obviously you can use it when you have all three sides of the triangle, which would look like this. So side, side, side. With law of cosines, you have three formulas you have to remember. They're listed right in front of you. And depending on what you are solving for, depends on what equation you use. So you're going to use this equation right here, a squared equals, when you're solving for the a side of a triangle. You're going to use b squared equals when you're solving for the b side of a triangle, and obviously you're going to use c squared when you're solving for a c side of a triangle. You're also going to use the a formula, a squared, when you're also solving for angle A. You're going to use b squared when you're solving for angle B, and you're also going to use c squared when you're solving for angle C. So again, use law of cosines with non-right triangles, given side angle side or side side side. Here you don't have to worry about a case where there could be two answers. That's only law of sines in the previous video. So let's get right to it and go to the first example. So here is our first example. I want to know what the value of b is, rounded to the nearest tenth. So we have two sides and included angle, so that's side angle side. That means I'm doing the law of cosines. So here is side A and side C. So since I'm solving for side B, I use the b squared formula, which is b squared equals, now let's go back, it is basically the Pythagorean theorem, b squared, a squared, c squared. So it's a squared, c squared minus 2ac cosine of big B. There's my formula. And let's just go back and confirm that is true. So it's b squared equals a squared plus c squared minus 2ac cos b. Easy way to remember this is remember that the first part is Pythagorean theorem. The second part is minus 2ac. And how do you know if you're using ac? Well, those are the two that you used in the first two terms of the equation. And it's cosine b. Why is it cosine b? Because you're solving for side b. So let's fill in the blanks. So I have b squared equals my a squared is 22 squared plus 10 squared minus, now again, should be all in parentheses because it is all one term. So it's minus 2 times 22 times 10 times cosine of 44. So I have b squared equals, now the beauty about this, I would enter all this into your calculator. So you want to enter all into your calculator. You don't have to round. You just go straight to your calculator and you do this. You do 22 squared. So I'm going to get my calculator out. I have 22 squared. Where's my squared button? And I'm going to add 10 squared, which is 100, and minus, now I'm going to do parentheses, 2 times 22 times 10 times the cosine of 44. And I'm going to hit enter, and I get 267.49. I want to the nearest tenth, so it's b squared equals 267.5. So basically I just entered all of this into my calculator using parentheses where I wrote them. Make sure you're in degree mode in your calculator also when you do that. So that's very simple. So now I have b squared equals 267.5. I don't want b squared, I want b. So I take the square root of both sides. So I take the square root of b squared and I take the square root of 267.5. So the square root of b squared is b, and the square root of 267.5 to the nearest tenth. So I go to my calculator, 267.5, and I get 16.35, but I want the nearest tenth, 16.4. Done. Law of cosines is easier than the law of sines because you don't have two possible answers. And if you're solving for a side, it's basically memorizing the formula, substituting the numbers in, entering it into your calculator, and taking the square root. So there is your first example. So B is about 16.4, which makes sense because remember, in order to have a triangle, the two smallest sides, 10 and 16, when you add them up, have to be greater than the largest side, which is 22, which in this case is true. So let's go to this. So here's our example using law of cosines. I know it's law of cosines because I am given side, side, side. So I have three sides, so it's side, side, side. So it's the law of cosines. So here I'm going to label my triangle A, B, C, and I know that opposite the angles are my sides of C, little a, and lowercase b. So since I'm solving for x first, which is the angle A, I'm going to use the law of cosines that deals with a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cosine A. So I know that A is 14 squared equals 19 squared plus 11 squared minus 2 times 19 times 11 times the cosine of A. 14 squared is 196. 19 squared is 361. 11 squared is 121. Minus parentheses 2 times 19 times 11 is 418. Cosine of A. 196 equals 361 plus 121 is 482. Minus parentheses 418 cosine of A. I need to now subtract 482 from both sides to isolate the variable. So minus 482. So 196 minus 482 is negative 286 equals negative parentheses 418 cosine of A. Now I need to divide by negative 418, divide by negative 418. So negative 286 divided by negative 418 is 13 over 19 equals cosine of x. And remember, well, not x, sorry about that. I'm going to keep it as a because a is angle x. So remember, I want the angle, so I have to use the inverse. So I know that a is equal to the cosine of the inverse of the ratio, which is 13 over 19. And I have to use my calculator. So I know that A is going to be 46.8. So A is 47 degrees because we round angles to the nearest degree. So I know that X is 47 degrees. So let's solve for Y now. So in this case, it's C, Y is, so it's C squared equals A squared plus B squared minus 2, parentheses, don't forget, AB cosine C. You're gonna have to memorize these formulas for the law of cosines. Substitute the numbers in, so C is 11, so I have 11 squared equals A squared, which is 14 squared, plus 19 squared, minus parentheses 2 times 14 times 19 cosine of C. So I need to evaluate. 121. 14 squared again is 196. 19 squared is again 361. 2 times 14 times 19 is 532. cosine of C. 121 equals 196 plus 361, 557, minus 532 cosine of C, minus 557 from both sides because I need to get C alone, or in this case it's Y. So I have 121 minus 557, which is negative 436, equals minus 532 cosine of C, divided by negative 532, divide by negative 532, and I get 109 over 133 equals the cosine of C. To get C, I do the inverse, so I do cosine inverse of the ratio, which is 109 over 133, and I get C. You got to use your calculator to do the inverse. Cosine inverse 109 over 133. Cosine inverse 109, 133, and you get 34.96. So C, which is Y, which is 35 degrees. There you go. So I can actually simplify this for you to solve for an angle. So if I want to solve for an angle, using the law of cosines, if I have a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2ac cosine a, if I want a alone, I know I'm going to add these two up and then subtract them. So I'm going to put these in parentheses. So it's going to be a squared minus whatever the sum of b squared plus c squared is, and that will equal negative 2ac cosine a. So I need to divide by negative 2ac. All this divided by negative 2ac. So now I have a squared minus parentheses b squared plus c squared all over negative 2ac will give me the cosine of a. So if I scroll down, therefore I know that angle A is going to be the cosine inverse of this big equation of a squared minus parentheses b squared plus c squared all over negative 2ac. And that's how you get an angle using law of cosines. You don't have to remember it. You can do the procedure that I did in the last example. But this is something that you should memorize. Let's do another example. Let's solve for x. So how do I know if it's law of cosines or law of sines? Well, let's look. I have an angle, and I have a side. So I have an angle, side. So is this law of sines or law of cosines? This is law of sines. I know it's a law of cosines video, but we need to be on our toes. This is law of sines. It's angle, side. Okay. So this is law of sines. So in this case, I know it's going to be sine of 72 over 45 equals the sine of 34 over x. So therefore, x is going to give us the 45 sine 34 over sine 72. So x is about, going to your calculator, I have 45 sine 34 sine 72, and I have 26.45, and that's x, using law of sines. So remember, you only use law of cosines. Let's go back up to the beginning with side angle side, side side side. So side angle side, side side side, law of cosines. Anything else is law of sines. So going back to the problem I just did, again, this is angle angle side. It's law of sines. I don't have to worry about two answers because that's for side side angle only. So remember, law of sines is angle angle side, angle. We have angle side angle, and then we have side side angle. So any three of those is law of sines. Let's go to another example. Okay, for this example, let's solve for x, which is a missing side length. So I'm going to label my triangle according to the angle. So if angle A is here, I know that this is side A. I know if angle B here is, this is side B, and angle C, therefore this is side C. So here I am given side angle side. So this is side angle side. So this is the law of cosines. So since I'm finding x, which is side C, I use the c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2 times ab cosine c formula. Now I just input everything in, so c squared is going to be now x squared. A is 45 squared plus 34 squared minus 2 times 45 times 34 times the cosine of 72. And the great thing about this is you use your calculator and you input this entire thing into your calculator. So you're going to input the entire expression into the calculator. So you enter all that into your calculator just the way you see it with parentheses. And when you do that, you get x squared is equal to 2,235.4. Then you have to take the square root of both sides. So you square root both sides, and you get the square root of 2,235.4. The square root of x squared is x, so x is going to be 47.28.